Hello there. Good morning. Today's a big one. Um, so the title is What Am You Unknowingly Giving Your Power to and You're Not Even Aware of It? Because it's everywhere in this world. I'm sitting in it myself right now, just really confused and feeling deluded, like not like I have my power, and just having things kind of snipe at me and other things. And I'm going to tell you right now, we've unknowingly agreed to a whole bunch of this stuff. A lot of it is trained into us. I've talked a lot about lineage trauma, and we just accept certain things happening in our life because it's come in our genetics and epigenetics from our parents, from great-grandparents, grandparents, all the way up the chain. And then once you understand that lineage, like if your grandmother had a sister and your grandfather had a brother and all this kind of stuff, that whole lineage becomes a really huge group of people when you start looking at the family tree and the tree of life that goes with it. So there's a lot of stuff we're energetically participating in that isn't even our own, and we're not even aware of it. And then there's other things in our world, like signing things like a mortgage, a death contract. Mortgage is death contract. They want to basically milk you until the point you're dead to be able to have a house. Debts, any loans, any credit card debt, etc., is all forms of slavery where we give up our power. It's like, okay, I'll sign this piece of paper and I'm going to pay this exorbitant amount of interest, and I'm going to have to pay for the rest of my life. And they make that possible. And then they mess with power bills and utility bills and rates and stuff like that makes us basically just barely breaking even all the time. Now, here's some really unaware things that you should be aware of. Those agreements on software and stuff like that when we start, and they're like 600 pages long and they're filled with just boring legal crap. Well, they bind us. When we agree to them, they are binding us. Same with like a mortgage contract or a debt contract or whatever. We don't know that we don't have to be bound to have those things. They just do it so that they can keep us in slavery and disempowered, etc. Same with a lease. Same with a power contract, electrical contract, insurance companies. There's another thing, right? It's like they make the most money of anything in the world, including banks. So why do they make all that? Well, they just keep raising the rates and demanding people have this, and they've made laws to say it's illegal to not have it, and all these kind of things. And then they don't even serve us at the end of all of it. What they promise is not often what they give. So we're in these contracts and we're being bound every day on things that we didn't know we had a choice for, right? Like, for example, telephone companies and cell phone companies, they're on an auto-renewing contract or whatever. They just automatically continue to give you the service because they think that's what you want, but they basically bind you into always being in some kind of agreement with them to pay them on a regular basis. This is what they want. They love that because that pays them. They don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to do work themselves. They just keep getting paid. And then they employ people in low-paying menial jobs to basically be of service to you and to handle things. So I just want you to go inside yourself, and I'm seeing it really clearly now that I'm deluded in my power, in my ability to create, etc., because I've taken on all these things through, like, a lot of the debt that I have been involved in is as a result of the V and my business being impacted, and prices not going down, and inflation and all this kind of stuff. I didn't feel I had a choice to go into them. And now I'm having to go through it and unbind myself. I will get phone calls from people that are demanding payment of debt when I have no money to be able to repay the debt. When you start to see and you start to research and you start to find out the truth about things, they have a lot of bluster, and they're basically extortionists and do coercion to try and make you repay. Every debt that I've ever had, I paid probably 3 times to 9 times over. over the period of time that I carried it, but nobody will ever talk about that. The interest rates, the games that they play where they shift things and say, oh, you missed this, so now we're going to charge you more or whatever. It's to crash you, and it's to basically put you in slavery, to go into a bankruptcy contract where you agree to let somebody have all power over you, how much money you can have, if you can go on a vacation, all these kind of things. It's all a form of slavery that's been supposedly legalized. But once you start understanding your rights or whatever, you don't have to agree to anything. You are at the whim of the world and the universe. And some of what's happening right now is showing us how to unbind ourselves from all this kind of stuff, to rise above it, to take our power back, to not let people talk to us like that or make us ashamed or use coercion or whatever. I have somebody that claims to be a legal firm that has recovery experts or whatever that's supposedly recovering debt, but that's an act of coercion. They cannot do it in that way. If you have no assets, you have no things to approach, they can't legally bind you in any way. They can come and try and scare you into believing that that's that, but until you find this stuff out, you don't know. So I'm just saying right now, sit down and feel where you're bound. What's the thing that's forcing you to do something you don't want to do? A job may be it. It may be dealing with people. It may be having phone calls or a landlord or some kind of bullshit that's going on in your life that says this is all you can have and this is all you're worthy of and all this kind of stuff. Go and look at it and just start to realize that you're a creator and you're not just worthy of those things. Those guys have no fucking right to take the power that they do. You are making an agreement to be in a home. You are making an agreement to have some money because things got tight or whatever. And the fact that they can change the terms, they can shift things, they can do whatever they want and then bluster on about how you owe them. Once you don't pay them, their power starts to fade away. And they can sit there and coerce you and scream at you and other things. But we have to take our power back. Do whatever you're comfortable with. What I've done is pretty radical. But start taking your power back. Do not let them have anything over you. They're a bunch of bullshit artists and liars and scammers and shine the light on that, because that has to end. This is no longer serving anyone, and it's all to keep us in slavery. So go inside. I end all agreements that have been inadvertently agreed to on software and with my phone and what information I can give, and with any program, any utility company, with any cell phone company or whatever. I end all these agreements. I unbind myself and stand free. And yes, I can still pay them, but I don't have to agree. And when they're auto-renewing, we can revoke our consent at any time. I can revoke my consent from any agreement I unknowingly entered into with any person, any vendor, any landlord, anything. I end those agreements. I end those agreements of marriage. I've had a divorce. I end those agreements of marriage. I do not need to be bound by them anymore. I do not need to be bound to an ex-wife. I even end the agreements of what a parent is and how we have to pay things for our kids. And I'm not talking food and lodging or whatever. I'm talking about university and college and hundreds of thousands of dollars we put in when we're trying to give them a better life and all these kind of things. But in a lot of ways, they don't even respect us, because we've given them, everything's been handed on a silver platter. You've met those kids. I've seen that sometimes. I'm not saying my kids are or whatever, but there's an expectation that that these things will be paid for them. I didn't get them paid for me, so why would I give those to my kids? It's crazy. So stepping in, I end all contracts. I end all agreements. I end all unknowing binds that I placed upon myself. I end all leases. I end all fucking insurance contracts and bank debt contracts and send them to my high council, because I paid them over and over and over again, and I end them. This is time to clear everything, and everything will be dissolved and resolved, and we will be free. So just check where you're being bound and go look at it. It doesn't feel very good to look at, and just say, no, I end it all. You don't even have to know how to do it. Just say, I end it all. I end all bindings. I end all slavery. I end all living at the behest of somebody else and how they want me to live and how I should live and how should my relationship. I end all relationships. I end all sexual contracts or a sexual bonding or whatever. I end them all. I end everything that's slowing me down and I even end the illusion of this place because it's telling me one thing, but it's giving me something very different. And that's what you need to be aware of and start to unbind yourself from. I love you. I thank you. I hope this helped. And go unbind yourself right now. I end all contracts. I end all agreements. I end all paper bullshit. I end all debts. I end all mortgages. I end all insurance contracts. I end all everything that's binding me because I don't need to be bound anymore to live here. It's my birthright to live here fully in freedom and choice. So I love you.